So we're in week 5 here, and we're working through our tasking and everything for that. So we're looking like we're getting pretty far ahead, so that's a good thing. Our build is going to be due next week, so we're planning on having that set and ready Wednesday. Along with that, we're working on our character and a lot of the polish for some of the systems, along with finishing up a lot of the main structure of some of the core systems for now until we go into polishing. So we're looking good there, so I'll let the team handle it now.
Brendan, art. I worked on the Market Stall 2 iterations and different iterations of the lamppost, and next week I plan to unwrap them and work on Building 2, I believe. Building 2 iterations, and anything from the asset list.
Connor Bish, designer. I worked on documentation as well as paper mapping the tavern area. So yeah.
Zachary Patton, worked on more texturing, doing some more modeling, and putting textures on said models, getting them ready for Game Engine. Next week I plan on doing some more texturing of other people's models.
Peter Tibbles, lead designer. This week's been a little bit of documentation. Most of my time has been spent on whiteboxing, finishing up the hub city and going into the forest and starting whiteboxing that. Just recently got some of the assets from Zach, so going to be going in and putting those in and starting to fill up the world a little bit.
Austin Meadowcroft, designer. I was gray boxing the tavern and did some documentation on enemy movement and skill behavior.
Ryan Apomisol, programmer working on combat AI stuff and the combat loop. This week I had to rebuild the entire thing because it wasn't right. Next week I'm going to continue working on that and hopefully have it done for our build. Other than that, yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Travis Bodine. What I worked on was I got some of the UI, like the compass done, and then also some of the base functionality for the player's overworld skills. And next week I'm going to be working on more backlog stuff, like starting on quest systems and dialogue and things like that.
Christopher Kuhn, programmer. This week I worked a little bit with the overworld AI, their pathfinding NavMesh agents, getting them to use root motion basically is what it came down to. Unity documentation is lacking, so that kind of stopped me a little bit. Next week, I'm going to finish this root motion thing this weekend, so next week I can move on to tackling more backlog products, inventory, quests, that kind of thing.
Devin Garrett, programming lead. This week I spent it working on getting the new UI elements implemented for the pause menu and for the combat, and then helping Travis out with some of the mechanics he was working on. This upcoming weekend I'm planning on finishing up with the UI for the health bar and all of that in the combat, and then I'm planning to, in this next week, move on to kind of preparing for the node system.
Michaela Farrell, lead artist. Since most of the UI is done for right now, I started on the character, finished the concept, and began modeling it. That's going to be a roughly 3-week process of modeling it, rigging it, and animating it.
Overall, we've made a large amount of progress this week, including UI, AI, scene, whiteboxing, combat, and art assets. So we're looking pretty good on our trajectory. Along with that, our accelerated pace will have us with a minimum viable product around the end of Sprint 3, start of Sprint 4. Looking for about week 2 in Sprint 4 to have that ready and set on polish, and working on a lot more backlog things at that point. Overall, we're doing well. We just got to keep the pace up. And that's about where we're at.